Trump's threat to Nigeria, between morality, power, and the perils of intervention. When Donald Trump publicly threatened U.S. military intervention in Nigeria over alleged massacres of Christians, he ignited a geopolitical storm, one that merges genuine human suffering with questions of sovereignty and the spectacle of great power politics. In a fiery statement, Trump announced that Washington would immediately suspend all aid to Nigeria unless its government stopped the killings of Christians, warning that American forces might launch fast, vicious, and sweet operations if the violence continued. His remarks were not mere bluster. Soon after, the U.S. redesignated Nigeria as a country of particular concern under the International Religious Freedom Act, a move signaling Washington's deep unease about religious persecution there. If such threats were to materialize, the implications would be seismic. A U.S. military intervention in Africa's most populous nation and one of its largest oil producers would be unprecedented in scale and consequence. At the core of Trump's position lies a moral appeal that the United States must defend religious freedom and protect persecuted minorities. Reports have long alleged that Christians in Nigeria are being targeted by Islamist insurgencies, militant groups, and criminal networks. They're killing record numbers of Christians, Trump declared. We're not going to allow that to happen. For many observers, the concern is understandable. Nigeria's struggle against Boko Haram and related insurgencies has left thousands dead, churches destroyed, and communities displaced. From a humanitarian lens, external pressure through aid suspension or diplomatic leverage might seem justified if the Nigerian state is indeed failing to protect its citizens. Yet beneath this moral rhetoric lies a maze of complexities. Nigeria's government firmly rejects claims of systemic religious persecution. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu insists that Nigeria constitutionally protects all faiths, arguing that the U.S. narrative distorts reality. Analysts, too, warn against oversimplification. Violence in Nigeria is not solely religious. It is also ethnic, economic, and territorial, driven by land disputes, banditry, and resource competition. Muslims, especially in the north, are among the conflict's many victims. To base a military intervention on an incomplete picture risks disaster. The terrain is vast, insurgent groups are fragmented, and social grievances run deep. A U.S. military campaign would be costly, uncertain in outcome, and potentially counterproductive, risking civilian casualties, inflaming extremism, and undermining Nigeria's fragile sovereignty. Beyond the humanitarian argument lies a deeper question. Who has the moral and legal right to intervene? Nigeria is a sovereign democracy, now a failed state awaiting rescue. For Washington to threaten unilateral action raises the specter of neo-imperialism, the image of a Western power using the banner of religious protection to mask strategic ambitions. With Nigeria's oil wealth and regional influence, such a move would inevitably be viewed with suspicion across Africa. International law is clear. Intervention without a UN Security Council mandate or a sovereign request is illegitimate. U.S. threats to act alone therefore raise troubling questions about legality, precedent, and the erosion of global norms. If protecting lives is truly the goal, the path forward should be multilateral and evidence-based. The U.S. and its partners could intensify intelligence sharing, support Nigerian security reforms, condition aid on accountability, and empower civil society groups working on interfaith peacebuilding. Military action, especially direct U.S. involvement, must remain the very last resort, preceded by solid evidence, a clear mission, and legitimate international backing. Nigeria, for its part, must embrace transparency, allow independent investigations into religious violence, and strengthen institutions that can prevent further bloodshed. Foreign allies should assist, not override this process. In truth, both sides need to move beyond simplified narratives. Christians are indeed suffering, but so are countless Muslims and others caught in cycles of violence that defy easy labeling. Reducing the crisis to Muslims killing Christians may stir emotion, but it clouds understanding and distorts policy. The stage is now set for high drama. A former U.S. president threatening aid cuts and military action, a Nigerian government bristling at perceived insults, and millions of civilians trapped between insurgency and state fragility. If Trump's rhetoric were ever to become reality, it could mark a historic shift in U.S. foreign policy, one where religious persecution becomes a trigger for force. But before the world applauds or condemns, it must ask, is the case truly clear? Are the risks worth bearing? Ultimately, this is not just a debate about Nigeria or Trump. It's about the ethics of intervention, the balance between moral duty and national sovereignty, and the fine line between protecting the vulnerable and playing global savior.
If the real aim is peace, then passion must be matched with prudence, and the call to defend faith must never drown out the duty to seek truth.